Hey there, pirates. Welcome aboard the Anime No Me channel. The question of why Luffy never taught Haki to the other members of his crew, considering that he was the first to unlock this ability, is something that sparks a lot of debate among One Piece fans. Some believe it is a flaw in character development, while others think it has more to do with the kind of relationship Luffy has with his Nakama and how much he values each person's independence. What we do know is that the protagonist did not directly share his Haki abilities with his friends, even though several of them have shown clear potential to learn it. But could there be something deeper behind this? Something the manga has not fully revealed yet? Let's try to understand this mystery within the context of the current story. First, we need to do a brief review of Haki and how it works in One Piece. Haki is a spiritual ability that can be awakened by anyone who has the necessary potential, but in order to master it, a person must go through a journey of self-discovery and intense training. It is not something that can simply be taught in a superficial way. In Luffy's case, he unlocked Haki in a very spontaneous manner as a result of his experiences and the awakening of his potential as a leader and a warrior. From the very beginning of Luffy's journey, he has always been someone who acts impulsively, with strong instincts to protect his friends and fight for freedom. But when it comes to technical and tactical abilities like Haki, the path is not as simple as brute force. Luffy unlocked Haki in the Sabaody archipelago when he was first confronted with the sheer scale of the world's power and had to learn how to survive in a scenario where even the strongest stood far above him. Conqueror's Haki, or Haoshoku, is a direct reflection of his personality, his immense willpower, and his desire to fight for freedom and the well-being of his friends. He did not learn it through formal training, but rather through life experiences that pushed his limits and challenged his understanding of the world. Now, when we look at the other members of the Straw Hat crew, we see that many of them have the potential to learn Haki, yet none of them received this teaching directly from Luffy. For example, Zoro, the swordsman who faithfully follows Luffy, has clearly shown signs of possessing Conqueror's Haki. This becomes evident in the Wano arc, when Zoro uses a form of Haoshoku during his fight against Kaido and his subordinates. What is interesting, however, is that even though Luffy had the opportunity to share this power with Zoro, he never did so directly. The same applies to other crew members such as Nami, Usopp, Chopper, Robin, Frankie, Brook, and even Jinbe, who has vast combat experience and could also benefit greatly from learning Haki. So why did Luffy never do this? First of all, it is important to highlight that throughout his entire journey, Luffy has always focused more on following his instincts than on training formal skills. This became clear during major challenges, such as in Dressrosa or Whole Cake Island. Instead of stopping to teach Haki to his friends, Luffy acted according to the situation at hand, always trying to solve problems with as much strength as possible without worrying about traditional training methods. In addition, there is the aspect of autonomy and independence among his Nakama. Luffy has never been the type to place the burden of his own success on others. He believes that his friends are capable of reaching their full potential on their own, just as he did. This is a key point in Luffy's philosophy. Luffy does not teach Haki to anyone, but instead expects each of his friends to develop their own abilities in their own way. Each of them has a unique path of growth, and this is reflected in the different fighting styles they adopt. Zoro follows the path of the sword. Sanji has a style based on kickboxing. Nami uses her intelligence to manipulate the weather with the climb attacks, and so on. Luffy fully trusts in the natural growth of his friends. To him, learning is something deeply personal and must be earned individually. This type of leadership, more inspirational than directive, is what makes Luffy the captain that he is. He has never been the kind of captain who orders his subordinates on how they should fight or what they should learn. He leads by example. He says what needs to be done and expects his friends to make the right decisions on their own. This behavior is especially evident in the Wano arc, where Luffy trains his Haki alone and does not attempt to teach his friends. He simply acts, fights, and demonstrates his strength and expects his Nakama to absorb that on their own. Another important point is that even though Luffy has mastered Conqueror's Haki, he still does not fully understand the true depth of this ability. In Wano, during his battle against Kaido, Luffy used Haki in a very instinctive way, without fully grasping what he was doing. When Luffy awakened his most powerful form of Haki, Advanced Conqueror's Haki, he was still exploring the limits of that ability. This gradual development may also be one of the reasons why he never tried to teach it to others. Luffy has the power, but he is still in the process of learning how to fully control and use it. For example, when Luffy used Advanced Conqueror's Haki to coat his fist and apply extra pressure to his attacks, he was still experimenting with the potential of that power. This is an important trait of Luffy. He does not share something until he has a full understanding of what it can do. This could be seen as a flaw in leadership, but it is also a reflection of how he views Haki not as a tool that can be easily taught, but as an ability that must be discovered through personal experience. In addition, there is the issue of the personal development of the other crew members. Luffy knows that for the others to become stronger, they need to go through their own challenges. Haki training can be a very intimate process, one in which each person must confront their own limitations and traumas. This aspect of growth was very clear with Zoro, who after the events of Thriller Bark was challenged by his own internal struggle and the need to overcome both physical and mental pain. The same can be said for other crew members such as Sanji, who also went through a moment of self-discovery when he faced his own demons during the whole Cake Island arc. Luffy never forced this process of teaching something to others because he knows that each of them has their own path to growth. More than that, he trusts that by his side, each of them has the freedom to discover their own abilities in their own time, without external pressure. Luffy's decision not to teach Haki to the other Straw Hat members reflects another aspect of his philosophy of life, which values independence, personal growth, and the authentic development of each individual. When we look at the journey of Luffy's Nakama, we can see that throughout the adventure, all of them have evolved in unique ways. And this is something Luffy has always encouraged, not relying on external skills or teachings, but facing their own challenges and overcoming their own limits. Nami has proven to be one of the smartest and most strategic members of the crew. Her strength does not depend on physical power or Haki, but on her intelligence and strategic thinking. Her skill with the Climatact, which manipulates the weather, has become more powerful as she has gone deeper into mastering technology and using logic to defeat her enemies. Haki, while it could have been an interesting addition, would not have had the same impact on the unique abilities Nami developed over the years. The same can be said for Usopp, who has often shown himself to be the strategist and situation manipulator of the crew. Although Usopp struggled with his own insecurities, he grew by finding his own kind of strength. Instead of relying on Haki to succeed, Usopp developed his combat skills and his courageous spirit to become someone who always finds a way to win through intelligence rather than brute force. He is a clear example of how growth in the world of One Piece can be achieved in ways that are not directly tied to Haki. Frankie, the cyborg, is already an example of someone who developed his own power through technology he created himself rather than relying on spiritual abilities like Haki. His evolution came from his passion for building and upgrading his body with machines. Giving him Haki would be practically unnecessary for someone who already possesses overwhelming strength and unique creativity. Chopper, in turn, is an interesting case. While his growth has been impressive through the evolution of his Rumble Ball transformations and, more recently, the refinement of Monster Point, Chopper has not focused on Haki in the same way. His development is more centered on his pursuit of medicine and his understanding of diseases and cures. For him, physical power is not the only way to be strong, and Luffy himself respects that. After all, what makes Chopper strong is not his ability to fight, but his determination to save lives. Robin also follows a unique path. Her strength comes from knowledge and her ability to use her powers to solve problems and deal with enemies intelligently. Throughout the story, Robin has shown that her power comes from her intelligence and her control over her devil fruit ability. And while Haki could have been an interesting addition for her, her true growth has come more from how she views the world and her fight for the truth. As for Genbi, he is already a master of his own fighting style fishman karate. His strength comes from disciplined training and his connection to the sea and marine life, something that does not fit perfectly with the concept of Haki, which is more closely tied to human willpower and spirit. Like the other crew members, he follows his own journey and development without needing Haki to become stronger. Luffy's decision not to teach Haki is an extension of his philosophy of life. To him, the strength of his friends must come from what they are capable of achieving on their own. Teaching Haki would be like taking away their opportunity to grow in a unique and independent way. Luffy wants his Nakama to find their own paths, and he knows that true strength lies in overcoming one's own limits. That was today's content. We hope you liked it and want to share your opinion on the subject. Don't forget to share the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and stay amazing.